Welcome in, belly up, have a seat and grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the league podcast. I'm your host, Mike Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 143, a Week 16 rewind and a Week 17 preview, a double dose of Wingman Fantasy Football for you guys today. And it is my great pleasure to welcome back to the bar Mr. Bernie, a.k.a. Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
How are you doing today, Bernie?
Oh, you know me, rolling with the punches and making questionable roster decisions.
Oh, man, did you have a good holiday?
Oh, excellent holiday. I ate food and opened presents.
Did you get any casseroles?
Yeah. I had a Boxing Day casserole.
Okay.
So actually, it was Christmas Day. Was it Christmas Day? Yeah, leftovers was on Boxing Day. Okay, Christmas Day casserole was a breakfast casserole. Eggs, sausage, potatoes, onions. I think there was spinach in it too. I mean, it was actually really good.
I was going to say the same thing. We actually had a breakfast casserole as well on Christmas morning. My wife made one, and it was also delicious. I was going to come at you saying I found a good casserole, but you have one yourself.
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised. I told them, I was like, this might be the best casserole I've ever had.
All right, well done.
I don't like casseroles.
We have some growth. We're having growth, Bernie. Way to go.
It's a Christmas miracle.
All right, guys. In this show, we have a jam-packed show as we are going from last week's rewind to this week's preview. And of course, we will start off with checking in on some player news and practice reports. We will recap last week's game with a Week 16 rewind. There will be a Mike Rant. We'll also review our starts of the week for Week 16. And as we turn the page from the previous week, it's time to preview Week 17, the championship week for most of our leagues out there. And we will set the slate for this weekend's primetime games. Spoiler alert, there are more primetime games than non-primetime games this week. We'll also check the activity on our waiver wire for the Wingman Fantasy Football League, go over this week's matchups, and we'll also see who's on top of the newest power rankings. And we will have our final installment of a fourth and long with Bernie for the 2024 season. And we'll have our final Wingman Jam of the season where we review last week's Wingman Jam and let you know how we fared. And we will dive into the mailbag once again for the last time of the 2024 season. And of course, we will end the show with two more sad puppies. All right, guys, let's get into some player news. Oh, before we get any further along, hey, let's make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingman Assemble! All right, now that everyone is here, I want to welcome you back from a nice holiday midweek holiday break there. So let's check in on the player news and practice reports. All right, starting off with Anthony Richardson has been missing practice this week, and he may miss Week 17. That's in quotations there. He's progressing, though, through the treatment, and he hopes to play on Sunday, but definitely do not make any assumptions in terms of Richardson for the Colts. We have Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who has an injured calf, is expected to play this weekend, damaging all upside for receivers for the Cleveland Browns. Isaac Guerendo, who cares? Who's been dealing with a hamstring injury, has been limited in practice, but looks like he's has a chance to make a return to the field for Week 17 on the Monday night matchup against the Lions. And A.J. Brown, who has been getting limited practice this week, and it looks like he should be able to play, but they've already clinched a playoff spot, I think. I could be mistaken there. So we'll see what the Eagles actually do. We'll stop right there real quick. What do you have on these guys? Richardson is a little banged up. You have some choices to make there. DTR hurts all passing game receivers for the Browns. Guerendo might play, but who really cares at this point? A.J. Brown may or may not play as well, but trending in the right direction.
Yeah, so Anthony Richardson, Flacco's taking first-team reps. So that really doesn't help anybody, but maybe one or two of the receivers. Pick your poison with that one. DTR, I mean, he's not very good against the Bengals in general, so I would just steer clear of that game altogether. Garendo, let's see what we got for Garendo here. If active, Patrick Taylor is going to be non-fantasy and relevance at that point. So he's on track for a potential Monday night return. I guess just keep an eye on that. And AJ Brown, it's a high volume key matchup here for the Cowboys. I don't know. It's for a guy that complains a lot, he sure is not looking like he's going to want to play or going to have to play, but the typical Goddard is probably going to get the bump for that, if anything. Or, it could be a Saquon game all over.
I'm going to save my A.J. Brown take for in the next group here as it's related to other players on the news here. Mm-hmm. So we have also Kenneth Walker was placed on the IR this week with an ankle injury, all but ending his injury-plagued 2024 NFL season. He could return in 4 weeks, which would be around the Super Bowl, essentially. So unless the Seahawks go on a crazy run, his season is over. Jalen Hurts, this is huge, is in the concussion protocol, and it seems unlikely that he will play in Week 17. Kenny Pickett will get the start if Hurts ultimately cannot go. Christian Watson is dealing with a knee injury and has yet to practice this week for the Packers. And Gus Edwards has already been ruled out for the Saturday game, meaning that J.K. Dobbins, I want to play again, Mr. Potter, has been designated to return from the IR, and he has a strong chance to make his return to the field. But he must be activated by Friday because they have the Saturday game. So if he's not activated, it's going to be all Kamani Vidal. All right, we got Kenneth Walker on the IR. Hurts probably won't play. Watson dealing with that knee injury, and we have the Chargers backfield.
So Kenneth Walker, their whole running game is shot. So I don't even know if I trust Zach Charbonnet. He had a couple good games, I guess, but I don't trust their O-line. I don't trust that running game at all, and I probably won't trust it next year unless they make some serious changes. So maybe they'll trade Kenneth Walker and I'll pick him up again unwisely. The Jalen Hurts thing is big. Kenny Pickett, so I guess it will be a Goddard game. That's going to be Kenny Pickett's not going to try to stretch the field too much, I don't think. He's just going to not lose the game for them, so they stay within their push for the playoffs there, or positioning for the playoffs, I should say. Christian Watson, who do we have behind him there? We got Reed and Dobbs. So
we got all five players. Dontavian Wicks would maybe get a bump, but he's the one who would move up. The other guys will just get better opportunities.
Exactly. So Wicks, Melton, Heath, those are the guys that are behind Reeds and Dobbs. So I would probably just play playing Reeds and Dobbs. You're in the finals at this point, so unless you're fighting for seventh place, steer clear of that flex option for Wicks. I think. Just stick to what you know, and don't forget Aaron Jones is on that team. And then who's that last guy?
Josh Jacobs. Josh. That's fine. Just yeah.
Aaron Jones was on that team.
Yeah.
Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. I don't know, man. This is a tough one for me. Vidal is going to be available in some leagues. He should be somewhat good to do. A Haskins, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't play either one of them. I would look for other options. Who does that really help, though? I think that helps Herbert. I think that helps Herbert really utilize his skill of being a good passer. Is he a good passer?
Yeah, well, second half of last game he was.
Yeah.
So I think first of all, I think Dobbins is going to play.
Okay.
I think it's right on time, obviously, with Edwards being ruled out. I think that's why they ruled him out so early, because they knew they have reinforcements on the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just timing-wise, I could be mistaken, but just that's the way it looks to me. And with Dobbins out, the passing game has gotten better, but their overall balance has not been good. Their offense has not gotten better because they lost what they had with Dobbins,
right? And
they were forced to lean more on Herbert, which wasn't... Anyway, Herbert by himself wasn't better than Dobbins by himself, but Herbert was better without Dobbins than with Dobbins. I'm hoping, my thought is that these guys might come together at the right time now. Now they've got some of the passing game worked out, and maybe Dobbins can kickstart that running game a little bit more. And not, excuse me. And I think there's a chance that their offense actually might have a pretty good game this weekend, better than you would expect. I think there's a chance that like I said, both parts are going to come together for the first time this year. Beginning of the year was a running game, second half of the year was passing game, and I think you have a chance for both to happen at the same time.
Yeah, just watch the news tomorrow. Needs to be activated by 4 p.m. That's
right, exactly.
J.K. Dobbins, so.
And that's the good thing with the Saturday game. You're going to know a little bit earlier, and you have an extra half a day to day and a half to start making decisions otherwise. I mean, most people who have gone along aren't Dobbins managers here, but if he's on the back of your bench, you held on to him, you might get reinforcements right in time with someone like Kenneth Walker being out or a Tony Pollard who may miss. Exactly. Before we get to the next group of names, I wanted to mention A.J. Brown. I wanted to wait till we got to Jalen Hurts, who might miss here. With Kenny Pickett starting, there's a few things here. All of Barkley's big-time points came in that first quarter while Hurts was still in the field, which is a little opposite of what we've been saying. But A.J. Brown's touchdown reception did come from Pickett in that last game.
Okay.
But the offense as a whole, I think, will stutter because they're not going to get those tush pushes. Like that's a Hurts specialty, and he also those 3rd and 6s where he can scramble.
Right.
So it's going to be either on the passing game. A.J. Brown's either going to have a nice day, I think, with Pickett because he's such a good receiver, he can get open, or Pickett's going to be so inept to not get the ball moving at all that the whole offense is going to suffer. So I think,
and the Cowboys defense did play decent last week. So
right, but the Cowboys are going to start sitting some guys here as they get towards the end of the year, guys who are banged up. So I'm not sure it's going to go, but I'm just saying if Pickett is not an overall detriment to the total offense, I think it's going to skew more to A.J. Brown being well and Saquon Barkley getting more short yardage touchdowns instead of having to break 60-yard touchdowns all the time. He might get a few more short touchdowns.
There we go. All right, that's a hot take.
All right. Our next group of players on the news this week, Tony Pollard remains sidelined in practice as he deals with this ankle injury. Remember this, he's been active the last 2 weeks despite not practicing. However, he's been limping through these games. Tajay Spears has been taking a big jump in fantasy points. The Titans play the Jags in an amazing championship week matchup here. I think in terms of Pollard, he's got some milestones to get. He's got a big payday if he gets to 1,100 yards, but he's not getting anything these last 2 weeks. They're giving him the first quarter and a half, and he can't get through the games. With this matchup here, there's enough for both these running backs to get points. Let's move along before I'll let you chime in more. Sorry about that. Jaleel McLaughlin, who missed last week's game, is off the injury report and looks to make his return, muddling the Broncos' backfield even more. Will there be 4 running backs this week? Chris Olave has been logging in full practices this week. Looks like he will be able to make his return. I say able because I don't know if they'll actually activate him or not because they're not playing for anything. So I don't know if he's going to get activated or not. Similar to we said J.K. Dobbins, he must be activated the day before their game by 4 o'clock. So for Olave, that will be Saturday at 4 o'clock. So you know by then or not if he will be activated. Like I said, I think he's able to go. I don't know if he will go. Alvin Kamara, let's just finish off with these Saints here. Alvin Kamara is still not practicing. It looks like he may miss a second consecutive week. And Derek Carr is not expected to play in week 17. So we got Pollard banged up, but maybe we'll play. McLaughlin back on the field. And our Saints, Olave, Kamara, and Derek Carr have a combination of maybe playing and most likely not.
Oh, yeah. So Pollard, you're absolutely, you were on point there. Spears saw 60% snaps last week. So if you have to pick between the two, I would just lean towards Tajay Spears at this point. Pollard might be a little bit too risky. McLaughlin, he's got some flex potential, I think, against the Bengals defense. He had double-digit touches in 2 games before the injury.
Right.
So he is good there. And I think Tyler Batty is on IR, and he's the only Bronco that's pretty much out, a Bronco running back that's out. So there also might be some, spot play for the other guys there. And then as far as the Saints go, with Carr out, more than likely Kamara out for the season as well. It looks like those 2 superstars, they're not going to want to play them. Even if they can go a little bit, they're done for the season. I mean, the Saints aren't playing for anything except for pride and film for some guys for next year, so they can either make this team or move on to, greener pastures. So Olave might be the only decent play, but he's not going to. I don't think he's going to get any significant looks and targets and yards for any sort of relevance. So.
I don't know why they'd put I understand you're healthy, you try and play. He's been fighting back to get back.
Yeah.
Except maybe to just get a couple hits in his system so he's not thinking about all offseason, like, how am I going to handle a hit?
I guess, yeah, exactly. I would shut them down. I wouldn't touch anything.
I don't see why you'd put him in unless, I don't know Derek Carr's contract situation. They obviously re-upped Kamara. Unless they're thinking maybe Rattler might be the guy thrown to him next year. Let's start getting some chemistry going. I don't see any other reason except to get one hit out of his system so he can feel, feel confident going into next year, and maybe the potential getting a chemistry with a quarterback that he might play next year. I don't see any reason to put Olave in.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Did you say James Conner? You stopped at Carr, right?
I stopped it with the Saints. So while we're at the Saints, I don't know where else to put this in, but the Saints, because they played Monday night, so they weren't in our conversation last week. They got shut out on Monday night, right? They lost 34-0 to the Packers.
First game of the season.
So
there's
a couple points I want to make about that. Yes, that was the first shutout of the NFL season, but during that telecast, they mentioned that there has not been a season ever in the NFL where there hasn't been at least one shutout.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't get shut out this week, this may have been the first NFL season without a shutout. But thank goodness for those Saints in Week 16.
Oh, thank goodness for you, Spencer Rattler.
Yep. All right, moving on to the rest of our news here. We'll break this last one up in two here. We got James Conner. I got a little bit to say on here, so we'll talk about him. I'll save it for after we get going here. But James Conner is listed as questionable for this weekend's game. With that contract extension and the fact that the Cardinals have been eliminated from the playoffs, I could see his availability going either way, similar to Olave, based on health and or reason to be on the field. David Njoku has not yet practiced this week, and he may miss his second consecutive week. This is a big one, guys. A lot of fantasy managers who have gone deep in the playoffs have this player on their team. CeeDee Lamb will now be shut down for the remainder of the season. He's been playing through a big-time shoulder injury for the last 3 to 5 weeks, and he looks good, but every once in a while he'll get a tackle and he comes up in big-time discomfort. So he's expected to need surgery on that shoulder. Let's get that started earlier so he can be ready from off-season workouts or training camp at least. And Tyrone Tracy has been missing practice this week, not sure of his status. And Cade Otton has also been missing practice, and he may miss his second consecutive game in a row. Let's stop here. We got Conner, Njoku, CeeDee Lamb's done for the year. Tracy's iffy, and Cade Otton may not play again.
Yeah, so you got Saturday, 90 minutes before 8 p.m. I don't know. Carter and Dallas are next up if he's out. I agree with you, though. It might just be a shutdown situation. So if you're desperate, I guess look at those guys, but I would stay clear if he's out. That might help McBride a little bit, but again, they're not playing good. They didn't look good last week. So I don't know. Arizona's something happened. Oh, did I say Michael Carter and DJ Dallas? Yes.
You didn't mention them. No, you didn't mention who his backups were.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Michael Carter and DJ Dallas are his backups.
And Trey Benson also.
Trey Benson's got an ankle, so he's kind of questionable.
He did miss last game, but he's not in the IR, but he was inactive last week, correct?
Yeah. All right. For Njoku, DTR, like earlier in this segment here, is throwing. So this is a toss up again. Jordan Akins could see a larger role if limited. So they are going up against the Dolphins. Dolphins defense is hot and cold, so we don't know which Dolphin defense we're going to get. So Keith's Friday practice will be crucial for his status. And then CeeDee Lamb, this is big news, like you said. I think again, shut him down. Dallas is not making a run for the playoffs. There's really nothing to play for at this point for him. So I don't see him coming back in. So what is that? Who's that? Is it Turbin?
Tolbert, I guess.
Tolbert and
Turpin plays too now. He'll play
Turpin,
now.
Yep. But
Brandon Cooks and Tolbert will be your 1-2. Yeah.
Exactly. And then kind of go from there.
Do you have any thoughts on Tracy?
Tracy. Yeah. So Tracy, I like Tracy. I really do. But that again, we're talking about these teams that they have 2 wins. It's like they're not even good at garbage time. So Devin Singletary is your next guy up. Eric Gray could see a minor role. The practice is crucial, but again, he's the future of the team. So why risk anything here So I would grab Singletary as a potential waiver wire add for that one.
All right, K. Dotton's pretty not irrelevant, but he hasn't been doing anything since the return of Mike Evans here. So I want to add some thoughts on some of these players here.
Yep.
So James Conner. So there's no he got re-signed to a 2-year contract extension. So you don't want him to get his injury last week wasn't bad. It was a hyperextension, which are uncomfortable, but in terms of long-term stuff, it's just pretty much it's a scare and a little bit of a bone bruise kind of. Not I say little bit, in terms of NFL injury stuff, not in terms of real life here. So, but he's an older running back, not old, but older. He did sign to a contract extension. So, you don't want him to get hurt worse for next year when this year is now officially nothing is worthless except for playing spoiler. They are playing against a division rival this week. They can try and slow them down, but and he's already got his milestone. He's got 1,000 yards rushing again. Last year was the first year he ever did that. So it's not like he's playing for something he's never achieved. The only thing he is playing for that he's never achieved is playing in every game of a season. He's always missed time. Well, most players miss time. So I mean, that's the only thing he would say. I want to gut through this. We're so close. I want to make it to the end. Or it could be like, we're so close. There's nothing to play for. Stop. So I'm talking to you, Alex, one of our managers who has some big time players on this list here with James Conner. Regardless of his practice reports, his whether he plays or not, you have to pay attention. You have to find whatever news you want to go to. You can always go to wingmanfantasyfootball.com and look at those inactive lists. But lock into your news there, because it may say he's been practicing, but doesn't mean he's going to play, or it could mean he will play. I'm just saying, don't get locked in on Thursday whether you think he's going to play on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Who else did I want to mention here real quick? CeeDee Lamb. He's been gutting through this injury. He could have been shut down. They were eliminated 2 or 3 weeks ago. They could have shut him down then. So he, like you said, he gutted through it. Played pretty well, actually. His best games of the year were the last 3.
Yeah.
Honestly, because they
were fighting for something.
Well, not the last 2 weeks. They've been eliminated, but he got into a little bit of a rhythm with Cooper Rush there. So I guess kudos for fighting through it. Although some of our managers who are in the championship with Lamb wish he would fight through one more game. But that's a big time loss there. Do you have anything to add to what I just said before I get those last couple news items?
No, I think at this point in the season in NFL world, you really got to look at what these teams are thinking about for the future.
Right.
So to see what they have with some players that haven't gotten any time, and that will affect everything. It's like a chain reaction when it comes to the offenses. So just be wary. This is why we don't play week 18.
Right.
We stop at week 17, but the teams that are out of it, this is technically, this is just like a week 18. Be careful.
Yep. Good point there. All right. Our last 3 guys on the news here. Josh Allen, who was shaking his elbow out all last game in that dud of a game for him, even though they did very well in the running game, obviously. But he's been practicing all week in full as he deals with that banged up elbow. It looks like he should be good to go. He's a tough guy. We all expect him to play through a lot of stuff here. And Adam Thielen was added to the injury report midweek with a hamstring injury. These are always scary. It could just be a Veterans Day of rest, and they got to put something down on paper. So please, again, this is to Alex. I'm not rooting for anybody, but I don't want anyone to have a 0 because of something else there. So please monitor the situation with both Connor and Thielen. These guys could be going back and forth in terms of their availability and for different reasons. So it's said as a new injury. I think that's probably true. But with these Wednesday/Thursday practices with these older players, they might just could be giving them a day of rest and disclosing it as something else. And then I have here, I didn't look too much into it, but it did pop up on my aggregator here. Aaron Rodgers, New York Jets future. The way I look at this, without even reading it, here's my guess. I want to be here if they want me to be here, but the Jets haven't told me they want me to be here. So since they haven't told me they want me to be here, I'm not sure I want to be here. Is that a pretty good read on the Aaron Rodgers potential? I don't know if you looked into it or not.
No, ever since the what's the guy's name? Woody, whatever his name is.
Woody Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, has been in the news for the whole Madden rating for Jerry Jeudy. I just kind of tune out the Jets news now. I'm like, come on, this is just, you guys aren't even talking things that people really care about. So I don't know too much about what that's going on. I do know that they have disclosed a MCL injury from Sunday's Rams game. And he is playing behind a depleted offensive line. he could be without Devontae Adams with a hip. Devontae did not practice, so it's not looking like it's going to finish up too good. I guess the only bright side is they're playing the Dolphins up north, and the Dolphins can't play in cold in the last game of the season. So that's really, I don't know. I don't really care, honestly.
No, fair enough.
About Aaron Rodgers and if he plays next season. I hope he does play. I hope he comes back. I hope he tries to prove the world wrong, and the world says, okay, sure, play on the Jets. We love it.
Do you think we do have to move along here, but do you think that Adam Thielen injury is something to monitor in terms of injury, or do you think it's just a day of rest?
No, Adam Thielen is definitely something to monitor. Just because it's the hamstring, right?
Yep.
So this is a big thing for him, I think.
Right.
Because if that's not healed up, that's just one not even pass to him, just one cut, one burst, and then that thing is aggravated again. One tackle the wrong way, and that's aggravated. And Leggett is also injured with a wrist and a hip injury. So those are really your only two people, wide receiver wise, that you would be starting for Carolina. And then Josh Allen, it's both his hands. His left hand is broken or something, and now it's his right shoulder and elbow. So I don't know what to say about that. I do have some thoughts about Allen in general, but we'll get into that later.
Okay. I forget what I was going to say here. Oh, in terms of Thielen, I'm not making a prediction, but it seems like he always catches a touchdown when he gets hurt and leaves the game. So, and there's always a chance that he aggravates it on a stretching, diving catch in the end zone. We'll see.
Exactly.
All right, guys, before we move forward, we must go back. It is time to look at the Week 16 Rewind.
Let's go back.
Week 16 Rewind.
All right, guys, we are going to start off in our little boy bracket, our consolation bracket. This was a matchup for 11th place. This was the last game for these two managers of the season. We had Ken's the Fantastics, the number 12 seed, up against Katie's King George, our number 11 seed. So these guys were the two worst teams in terms of regular season, but who would finish in last place for the final standings? Oh, this is going to be interesting here. It wasn't even close. Ken's the Fantastics took this one down 120.14 to 74.78. What is up with these playoff schedule big time scores? A lot of teams got their highest scores of the season this last week or 2 weeks. And let's see how, so Fantastics took this one. They're going to finish the year in 11th place. Unfortunately for Katie's King George, she has now lost her last 3 games in a row.
You're as cold as ice.
All right, let's see what players help Fantastics take this one down. Starting off with Devon, the man, A-Chan, getting 28 points. And Keenan, hey, Allen got 24.6 points.
He's heating up.
Why is my voice doing this? Sorry. Oh, we had Jared MVP at 25.44 points.
He's on fire.
And Cam Dicker, that free place kicker, I don't know what you want to call that, free kick kicker, had 10 points. Fantastics had no duds because he kept Deebo Samuel out of his lineup. But this week was different. On his bench, Deebo Samuel had 21.6 points on the bench.
Who? Deebo.
Yeah, we haven't said who Deebo all year. This guy's been a mess. He made it through the week without any major injuries that I've noticed, and I don't care because these guys are done for the year. Now for Katie's King George, her top players this week, she had Bucky Irving at 16.7 points.
He's heating up.
And Justin, you mother Tucker, had 12 points in her lineup for the Baltimore kicker. She had a few duds in her starting lineup as Jordan Love could only get 11.48 points. Brian Robinson only had 5.1 points in the starting lineup, and we all saw this one coming. Jerry the Judge Judy, with DTR as a starting quarterback, could only get 3 points. She did have some strong players on her bench, as Sam Darnold had 22.94 points. This guy is amazing. I didn't check if he has it. I'm going to say he's on the train, man. He's awesome. And then we had Brandon McManus also on the bench with 13 points. We not much to get in this game. What do you have on this game? Fantastic's blowing up at the end here.
Oh, yeah. He's not on the train. He had a 13-point game last week. But
that's why I didn't put it on there. All right,
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, Fantastics did a great job. And this is coming from the Fantastics himself. His team sucks, and I shouldn't say that they're good anymore or he drafted well or anything like that. His team just sucks. His players suck. Everything sucks, except for, Lad McConkey.
He's like, stop.
And Jared Goff. No, the players are good NFL players. They just didn't come through fantasy-wise for him. So, but he said to stop placating to him. So
he doesn't like the patronizing.
Yeah, I guess not. But it is what it is. On the other side, like you said, Judy, that's a big blow there. And Brian Robinson was a big blow. Roman Dunze was expected. But those other two, that really set her back.
All right, staying in the little boy bracket, our consolation bracket. These teams are still alive. They win, they move along to the 7th place game. The loser would fall into the 9th place game. Starting off with Bernie's Team B. What the heck, man? I'm having a hard...
Cuban B.
Thank you.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
That was pretty good, Bernie. Thanks for that. Bernie's Team B, who's the 8th seed, coming in at 6-8 for the regular season, up against Nick's Waddle Away.
Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle. Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle. Then he waddled.
Who also finished the year at 6-8. So this is a matchup between the number 8 seed and the number 9 seed. Once again, the winner moves on to the 7th place game, losers to the 9th place game. And Bernie's Team B, you could correct me if I'm wrong, I believe was his highest score of the season. On time in terms of consolation bracket matchups, 134.94 points, and this will not be the first of the 130-point scores for this week. Up against Nick's Waddle Away, who only had an 89 points even. All right, let's see what players helped Bernie get to this awesome, monstrous score, starting off with Jonathan Taylor at 39.8 points, Jamison Williams at 23.5 points, Anthony Richardson at 22.24 points, and A.J. Brown at 19.7 points.
He's heating up.
If you notice, with all those big scores, none of these guys are heating up or on fire or anything except for A.J. Brown, just showing you these guys waited to the end to finally show up. For Bernie's Team B, he had no duds, and he even had some players on his bench who could have contributed nicely, as Geno Smith had 25.36 points, Amir Abdullah with 17 points.
He's heating up.
And Tyrone Tracy at 14.6 points. I didn't notice any major injuries on his list here, except for Kenneth Walker, we mentioned, who's been going to the IR and has been on his bench and not playing. Now for Nick's Waddle Away team, this is weird. He had a much lower score, but he has more consistent players. Starting off with Jason Sanders at 21 points. The Colonel at 21 points, kicker for the Dolphins. He had Jamar Chase, who keeps chugging along on that train at 19.4 points. And Devontae Adams also chugging along on that train at 16.3 points. Let's see. He did have a couple duds, however, with Matthew Stafford at 8.4 points and Isaiah Pacheco at 3.1. And the only player on his bench who would have improved his score was Justin Herbert at 24.16 points. All right, what do you have on this matchup here, Bernie? You're moving along into the 7th place game. You called it early. I was surprised you made that declaration, but it's working out here. And you had one of your best scoring weeks of the season, if not the best.
Oh, it was the best. 128 back in week 4. That was my best until this game. So it was possible, but too little too late, fellas. I just like to say thank you to Tennessee's defense and Chicago's defense. Without you, this score would not have been possible. On the other side, Matt Stafford, Isaiah Pacheco, these guys that are not, pulling their weight, their fantasy weight. You really let your manager down, guys. You really let him down. He played the right lineup, and you let him down. That's all I got to say about that.
So I want to mention this here real quick. I obviously don't spend too much time on it. What do you remember our 3 or 4 wide receivers that were holding out one way or the other? Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, was there a 4th player or not? I feel like there was a 4th, but I can't remember who it was.
Yeah,
Nonetheless,
go
my
ahead.
point was, how did they perform here? Ayuk got hurt, but was playing awful before that.
Mhm.
Jamar Chase got off to a slow start,
slow
but only
start.
for a couple weeks, and
Yep.
he's been the best receiver all year long since that point.
Oh, yeah.
And CeeDee Lamb wasn't the top tier guy, but at the end of the year, he's still going to finish as a top 4 receiver with his counting stats. So that's just, I want to say it out loud. So in our next preseason shows, we can at least maybe have a memory of what we thought about people holding out and how their prospective performances are going through the season.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it doesn't matter. It's consistency at this point, right? It doesn't matter how well you do in the playoffs if you can't get into the playoffs.
True, fair enough. Yeah, you mentioned before, I don't want someone who's going to put me behind the 8 ball because I don't know which win's going to be the win I'm going to need and how close, it could be anywhere throughout the season.
Exactly.
All right, our other game in the consolation bracket, once again, the winner here is playing to get into the 7th place game, where the loser will fall and play Waddle away in the 9th place game. Oh, man, we've got so many bells and whistles for this one. Hopefully, I push all the right buttons. We have Reggie's Lions, the number 10 seed, finished the season at 5-9, up against Ben's brilliant team, finished the season at 7-7, and Reggie's Lions went bananas. He won this one 139.48 to 74.52. This is the second consecutive week Lions has hit over the 130-point game in the consolation bracket. He was the highest score of the week, and this was also the biggest blowout of the week, as Lions won by more than 64 points.
You got knocked the fuck out, man.
Can you do a quick scan for me? Was this no, I know the answer. Never mind. All right. For Lions, he's actually now won 4 in a row, ending the regular season and into the consolation bracket. All right. Let's see what top performers help propel Lions to this monster score. We only start 8 players, people. He's got 7 players on the top performer list, and they were all evenly good. We had Brian Thomas Jr., the star rookie for the Jacksonville Jaguars, had 23.7 points. Don't look now, but he is on those train tracks. We had Jahmyr Gibbs get 23.4 points.
He's on fire!
Lamar Jackson added 22.48 points. We mentioned this going into the playoffs, and it's holding true. Jackson Smith and Jigba is on fire with 20 points.
He's on fire!
We've got these 2 young receivers are going into these playoffs just hitting it out of the park every single week. Also, he has his tight end, Brock Austin Bowers.
Yeah, baby!
Contributed with 15.4 points, and this can't be right. Is Brock Bowers on fire?
He's on fire!
I might be wrong. I felt he had a bad game a couple weeks ago. And nonetheless, he's heating up at least. And Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, he's also on the train at 14.5 points. And who would have thunk, but the Cincinnati defense, who's been awful all year, is putting it together at the end. They scored double-digit points for the second straight week, coming in with 12 points.
He's heating up!
All right. Obviously, with a score like this, he had no duds in his lineup. And he had some players on his bench who were very strong, but I don't think they even would have improved his score with all the big scores that he put in. But Russell Wilson had a fine day for his caliber of player at 19.4 points. Jordan Addison at 12 points. And Harrison Butker contributed with 10 on the bench. He made it through the week without any major injuries that I noticed. Now for Ben's brilliant team here. He finished off with 74.5 points. He only had a couple strong performers here. Brock Purdy at 23.12 points. George Kittle at 14.6. He had 2 duds. DeAndre Swift at 6.8 and Tyler Lockett at 2.9. He did have some players on his bench who could have helped, but no way you're catching up to that 139-point score. Caleb Williams at 24.8 and Tank Bigsby at 11.6. All right, what do you have on this game? Our biggest blowout of the week, the highest score of the week, and Reggie is, as a team, on fire.
Oh, yeah. Well, he clearly was picking up and working the waiver wire to get ready for the playoffs because he stacked his team with those matchups and they're ready to go. But too little too late, just like my team buddy. Great score. Look forward to this matchup this week to find out who's going to be the best of the worst. And Brock Bowers 2 weeks ago had a 25-point game. So he's 2 weeks removed. This is just his first good game after that. That's okay. I like listening to Brock, his little Austin Powers drop. That's great. He's got great players and he played them all. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. On the other side, Minnesota's defense really stepped up and shut down Tyler Lockett. And we're still trying to rely on Chicago Bears here, and DeAndre Swift is in the starting lineup. So, that is what it is. That's what you get. Puka will have a bounce back this week.
So I'm trying to piece this together in real time here, but Reggie is a team of streaks similar to last year. So I believe he started 0-6. Then he won 3 games in a row. Then he would have lost 3 games in a row, and now he's won 4 games in a row. He has no streak less than 3 in either direction all year long. If we could just end that first streak 2 weeks earlier, this guy would be looking for a championship instead of a 7th place game.
Oh, it's a championship team because he's got the Lions, right? Oh, yeah.
All right. We finally are moving along to our big boy bracket. However, these are the teams that fell out of the running for the championship, and they are playing for 5th place. A downgrade for both these players, how they finished their regular season. We have Paul's Cubert Rage, the number 4 seed, finished the regular season at 9-5, up against Michael's Amazing Spidey, yours truly, who also finished the regular season at 9-5. And this had fireworks in this one as well, as Cubert's Rage took this one down 136.82. It's our third 130-point score, if I'm not mistaken, against 125.58. A huge score. Last week, I lost with 117. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get in the gym. I'm going to work out. I'm going to increase my score. I did, and it didn't matter. I lose by 10 points no matter what. Luckily, this game didn't matter, and I was able to take it a little better. But for the second straight week, actually, this was our closest game of the week at just over 11 points. And for the second straight week, Amazing Spidey is the highest scoring loser.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
All right, let's look at what players helped Cubert's Rage get to this monstrous score, starting off with Jaden Daniels at 38.42 points, and he is chugging along. As his star receiver, Justin Jefferson, 31.4 points, and he's also on that train. And James Cook, with a bad game in week 14, has now been playing quite well, getting 26.1 points, and he's heating up.
He's heating up!
And T. Higgins is also heating up with 15.8 points.
He's heating up!
And the Buffalo defense added 11 points. The only dud he had is Cooper Kupp for the second straight week, was a dud with only 3.9 points. And he had some strong players on his bench that actually would have improved his score, at least in terms of the kicker. Jake Elliott had 19 points.
He's heating up!
And Josh Downs had 13.6 points on the bench. Now for Amazing Spidey. I mean, 125.5 points, you're going to win 95% of your games, if not more, but not this. Actually, this week he would have lost almost every game he played against with all these 130-point games out there. But he did have some good players who helped him out here. Kyler Murray had 24.38 points. The Great Bijan.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
Great Bijan Robinson had 23.3 points, and he is chugging along. Brandon Aubrey, the kicker on that Sunday night game, gave Amazing Spidey a little bit of hope for the comeback as he had 21 points from that kicker position.
He's heating up!
And this might be the underrated best running back in fantasy. Josh Jacobs at 18.7 points is chugging along. So as I was looking up, seeing if he's on that train or not, for the last 6 weeks, this is his lowest scoring game at 18.7 points. 4 of the 6 weeks have been over 20. The other game was at 19.7. A true count you can count on stud. And Calvin Ridley with Mason Rudolph did so much better at 15.3 points. Amazing Spidey had no duds this week, but he did have some players on his bench who actually could have helped out, as he had a couple running backs who outperformed Breece Hall by almost 10 points. Would have been very close if these guys were in. Jerome Ford at 21.6 points.
He's heating up!
and Gus Edwards with a rando game at 19.6 points. All right, man. These were two of our top teams in terms of record all year long, or not all year long, but by the end at 9-5. So they both tied for the best record, and they both showed out in this matchup. But Cubert's Rage took this one down with a monster score.
Oh, yeah. This was all Justin Jefferson doing damage because both receivers, Mike Evans and Cooper Kupp on the each team kind of had their low floor games there. So Justin Jefferson pulls it out, He's that good.
He had 3 mecha studs with Daniels, Jefferson, and Cook.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
All right.
Oh,
now we're getting on to...
I'm sorry,
yeah,
and Daniels got the win over Philly, which was a huge deal in the NFL world.
Yeah, yep. All right, moving on to the players that were still alive for a chance for a championship. These guys were playing in the big boy bracket with something to play for other than 5th or 6th place here. We have Andrew's Crazy Fish, the number 2 seed, up against our 3-time in a row, 4-time overall champ. Both these guys have 4 championships in their dossier here. Against Jimerson's Red Sox Nation, Crazy Fish came into finishing the regular season at 9-5. Red Sox Nation finished the season at 8-6, and this was not even close. Crazy Fish, I don't know how he does it, scored 118.98 points up against Red Sox Nation, who could only muster 58.3 points. For Red Sox Nation, he had the lowest score of the week at the worst possible time. And for Crazy Fish, he has now won 3 games in a row. As these guys are in the same division, this is the 3rd time this year they have faced off against each other. All right, let's see what players helped Crazy Fish take this one down and move on to the championship game. Starting off with Chuba Hubbard coming back after one of his only low-scoring games of the season, rebounded with a 30.5-point game. Joe Burrow, oh my gosh, Joe Burrow. The Donkey Man had 23.9 points, and he is on that train. And we have a streaming defense make the top performers list. The Green Bay Packer defense added 17 points.
We'll cross the streams.
Excuse me, Egon. You said crossing the streams was bad.
And Old Faithful Amon-Ra St. Brown chipped in with 16 points.
He's on fire!
And the kicker for the Lions, Jake Bates, added 10 points. His only dud with Marvin Harrison Jr. at 5.9 points. And he had some strong players on his bench. Tajay Spears at 20.1 points.
He's heating up.
And Ramondre Stevenson had 13.8 points, but on the bench. This is tough to hear. I'm sorry, Red Sox Nation, but you had no top performers this week. Oh, man, that is tough going. He did have 2 duds. Jalen Hurts, he left the game early, and that did him in early, although that injury was a bad omen, but that was not the only reason he lost, as we saw here. Jalen Hurts only had 4.54 points. Trey McBride of Frankenstein only had 3.5 points. This is where the errors happened. I don't know if this would have been enough to come back, but he had 5 players on his bench who would have been top performers. Oh my gosh. He had 92 points on his bench and only 58 points in his starting lineup. Starting off here with Baker Mayfield at 24.32 points on the bench.
He's on fire!
Xavier Worthy had 17 points on the bench.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
He's heating up!
Kareem Hunt, there's no way you can call this one, had 14.9 points on the bench. Jalen McMillan, rookie wide receiver for the Bucks, had 14.2 points on the bench.
He's on fire!
And Alexander Madison had 13.6 points on the bench. All right, we should have a lot to say on this game here. What do we have here as Crazy Fish is moving along? The 4 in a row chance for a champion is ended here for Red Sox Nation, and this game wasn't even close.
Yeah, sometimes you just have a bad game. You had one bad game, and you had it at the worst time possible. The rest of us have had a couple bad games, and we've just had them sprinkled out through the season to not make the playoffs. So, sorry, not sorry. You got a couple of rings, so do your thing. Crazy Fish beating him 3 times and throughout the year, though. That's maybe we got a little in-state rivalry going on here. to keep these guys motivated to keep going. They're both down in South Florida too, so battle of the South Florida teams is a big deal. It's like an in-state championship.
So I've got one thing here, and I'm not upset. But if you were going to lay an egg like this, Red Sox Nation, you should have let me win last time because I would have beat him. The what ifs. I know that's just me being stupid.
Oh yeah. We all would have won though.
That's true. Reggie
would be champion. Our Lions would be champion right now.
All right. Our next game and our last game in the big boy bracket. Once again, winner goes to the championship game. The loser here will face Red Sox Nation for the top finish of third place. Best chance there. We have Alex's They Took Our Jobs, our point leader, but our number 5 seed, up against Corey's Mac Daddy 2s, who finished the season as our number 1 seed. And the point leader, They Took Our Jobs, took this one down 111.56 to 91.62. Corey's Mac Daddy 2s was the runner-up last year, was trying to get a rebound, but the hangover came he didn't quite survive the hangover, although he had a very fine season. But They Took Our Jobs is back in the championship game. He was there 2 years ago, and now he's trying to get this one done. And They Took Our Jobs finished the season, or is continuing his season, as he is now on a 3-game winning streak. This game actually ended up being closer than you would have thought, the way that Sunday morning started. Starting off with Saquon Barkley had 27 points, and he had 24 of those in the first 10 minutes of the game. James Sweet Feet Connor, he had 24.6 points, and most of those came in the first half as he left the game early with a knee injury.
He's on fire!
And Derrick Henry had 19.9 points, and he did that without even getting into the end zone.
He's heating up!
And Adam Thielen had added 12.8 points in the starting lineup. He had no duds, They Took Our Jobs, but he did have some strong players on his bench, as Drake May had 21.44 points on the bench.
He's on fire!
And DK Metcalf, you can never really count on him, but he came up with a game of 13.2 points on the bench. Now for Mac Daddy 2s. He stuck with Bo Nix on the Thursday night game, a little bit of a risk, but it didn't work out completely, but it wasn't the worst play, as Bo Nix had 21.02 points on Thursday night.
He's heating up!
Kyren Williams got in the end zone again at 19.4 points.
Release the Kraken!
And I think an unsung hero here and a potential MVP candidate, Chase Brown, chugging along as he added 12.4 points. Just like They Took Our Jobs, Mac Daddy 2s did not have any duds in his lineup, but he only had one player who could have helped, and it would have helped just a little bit, as Patrick Mahomes had 23.7 points on the bench. Forgot to mention injuries here for They Took Our Jobs. Adam Thielen is now dealing with that hamstring injury. James Conner is dealing with that hyperextension knee. So we got 2 guys who are questionable here. So I'm not sure how it's going to affect you going forward. But you got to the championship game. All right, what do you have on this game? They Took Our Jobs has been dominating all year. Hasn't been getting the wins he probably deserved, but he's going to get him when he needs him at the most at the end of the season here.
Yeah, Jamar Chase took a lot of points away from Chase Brown. Chase Brown could have had a bigger game, I think. And then Nico Collins, obviously that's a big blow there. This shouldn't have been as close as it was, like you said. Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, James Conner, like those are guys that are just going to be scoring points. They didn't score as much points as they could have, but they scored enough to win. So great job. They Took Our Jobs. Mac Daddy 2 is a very gracious loser. Good season for him.
Yeah, like I think They Took Our Jobs was projected at one point, live projection, like 138, as he had Barkley and Connor both getting all their points in the first half, and then they slowly kept coming back. I'm like, oh, is this going to be one of those things you think it's wrapped up, and it ends up not being the case?
Exactly. And then, Denver defense should have showed up a little bit better, but they, just with the 3 points, that's a tough one too.
All right, guys, it is now time to get in to the last one of the year, guys, I think. we'll see how the next week goes. But most likely the final Mike Rant of the season. If I push the button.
Baby Rant. Karen Rant. Monty.
I don't care whose fault it is. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think.
Mike Rant.
All right, guys. Yeah, I've got a rant here. My voice is a little scratchy, so I apologize. This one is not political. I promise you. You can infer what you want. Elon Musk and Twitter, what is your problem? I can't. This is a Twitter thing. It just happens. He's the one who's doing it. So for those of you who may have noticed, I've had this website up for several years now, and I usually just did it to help me get my news together. And now I'm offering out to you guys. Twitter had a setting where you could embed Twitter feeds from users here. So you didn't have to. You could look at Twitter from a widget without having to go onto the website. Once he took over, 3 months afterwards, not this past July, but the July prior, he cut that feature off. It killed a lot of people. People use that on their websites, not just me as a fantasy football. People were complaining like, yeah, we put our school notices on there. So you don't have to go to Twitter to go look if a school's closed. You go to the school's website and it has a little Twitter feed there. And it showed for like 8 months, Twitter's closed on Friday, or not Twitter, your school's closed on Friday due to a fire or hurricane. And it was outdated stuff because it just showed something from the last time it worked. So now for the last year and a half, I've been looking at different ways, different solutions to get those Twitter feeds up there. I have to use these generous people who make their own servers, don't get paid anything, and I have to do a Mastodon workaround. I have to use a Mastodon feed, putting in the Twitter, a mirror Twitter account. It's a ridiculous thing, and these guys are doing their best, but every once in a while, it shuts down. And if you noticed last week on Sunday, the Mastodon feed shut down. And it's not their fault. I don't blame them. They're the one doing this for free. Twitter, you've been screwing us over for the last 2 years, and people are doing their best to work around it, and programmers, and they can't do it. This guy breaks everything he touches once he takes control. I'm going to keep it there at that. I don't want to go on Elon Musk too much, but you made Twitter impossible to use and a resource that a lot of us can't use, and it's freaking me out. You're adding work to my day. I'm a little loose here with my rant. I apologize, but yeah, fix it. Why do I do that every freaking time? All right, we'll bring you back in. All right, do you ever go to our website and look at those Twitter feeds on the side there? Does that help you at all?
Not the X feeds. You keep calling it Twitter. That's
I'm not changing that. Screw that, man. I'm already talking.
The site formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah.
No, I don't actually use Twitter at all. I don't use X at all. And those feeds, I use the other stuff instead. So that's just not my cup of tea. I don't roll that way. I'm like an old man that way.
Well, I don't go on Twitter too much, but I was able to get, you want your Adam Schefter post right away. So it was a way to put it out there without you having to go there. And I had a workaround, but right now it's down. Their site, not the Twitter one, but the other guys who are doing it for free, the little piratey guys, their thing shut down this week. And they go up and down. They shut down every once in a while, but they usually fix it within a few days if they can. But I can't count. It's not fair to count on these guys who are paying for servers themselves with no revenue, essentially, to make up for someone else who's making billions of dollars trying to nickel and dime people.
Oh yeah. No, I'm on a group chat with the insiders. I got Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero and the other guy, Garofolo. I'm like inside with them, so I get my news direct.
I thought it was like the three tenors. It's like this guy, that guy, and who's the other guy? We always forget his name. All right, guys. All right. It is now. Listen. So now we're going to. Before we move along here, let's check in and review our starts of the week for the previous week. Bring it in. Take a knee. Who wants in?
Oh, pick me! Oh, I know, me!
All right, son. Don't let me down. You're in.
Wingman Fantasy Football. Starts of the week.
All right, guys, we are not going to give our starts of the week for this week since there's already been 3 games going. But just want to let you know that. But we are going to review our last week's starts of the week as our viewership, winds down as the season ends here. So last week, do you have these up? Do you want me to just run through them for you?
No, go ahead and run through them.
All right,
I threw my paper away.
That's fine. Bernie's start of the week at quarterback was Jared Goff. His running back was Devon Achane, and his wide receiver was T. Higgins. Goff was projected for 17 points, came in with 25.4. Devon Achane projected at 15.4, came in with 28 points. And T. Higgins projected at 12.7, came in with a solid 15.8 points. Bernie was 3 for 3 for at least the second time this season. Might have been the third time. But nice job, 3 for 3. You are 5 for your last 6. And I can't remember 2 weeks back. I feel like you had a good one before that, but I'm not sure. Now for my starts of the week here, Kyler Murray, quarterback. I went with all birds here. James Conner at running back and Trey McBride at the receiver position. Kyler Murray projected at 21, a big score. Could he beat it? Yes, he could, at 24.4 points. James Conner with 16 points, a very solid projection. Could he beat that? Yes, he could, at 24.6 points. And Trey McBride, the only one to let us down at 11.9 point projection, came in with a big time dud at 3.5 points. So going into last week, we were 38 and 46 as a show. I was 22 and 20. Bernie was 16 and 26. But after last week, where Bernie was 3 and 0 and I was 2 and 1 as a show, we were at 43 and 47. We should probably do one more week, Bernie. We can get to 500, I think, but we're going to stop here. I finished the year at 24 and 21. Bernie came back here at the end to get 19 and 26. I don't care about the length of the show tonight. It's going to be a long one. What do you think about your starts of the week and how they perform for you this week?
I'm happy. I'm happy that they actually performed. They did what they were supposed to do, and we all reaped the benefits from it. So T. Higgins was my only, kind of. HN was a starter.
Right.
He wasn't sitting at in the top 5 running backs, but he was definitely a starter. And Goff, obviously MVP, you're going to start him every time, even though you really don't need to start him every time. But because Montgomery was out, it was one of those things. I'm happy. I'm happy all the way around. I'm happy to end this on a good note to go into the off season and start back again on a good note.
All right. I agree with you. Good job, guys. Thanks for following us along. Hope those starts of the week helped when they needed to and didn't hurt you when they could have. All right, guys, now we're going to close the chapter on week 16. Again, this is a double-packed episode, so nestle in here. We'll have time codes below if you need to skip around. But now it's time to look ahead to the final week of the fantasy football season as we now look at a week 17 preview. All right, we are going to start off with setting the slate for this weekend's games for the championship round of the fantasy football playoffs. Once again, there are no NFL teams on bye, so we will be at full strength in that regard. And there is an NFL football game on almost every day this week. There are games every day except for Friday. So you got to treat this like a fantasy basketball season. You've got to look in every day. It stinks, but I guess end like this might be fun or it might be painful. But check in every day as news is going to be important based on the timing of your players' games. All right, so let's set the schedule for this week's primetime games. We're going to take some breaks while we're doing this because there's a lot of games here. On Wednesday, we had a pair of Christmas Day games starting off with the Kansas City Chiefs picking up camp and heading to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers, followed by the Ravens flying out to Houston to take on the Texans. Both road teams won their games in dominating fashion. The Thursday night game this week, we had the Seattle Seahawks who took flight to Chicago to take on the Bears at 8 p.m. All right, we'll stop here real quick with our midweek games. What do you think about these? The Chiefs game, the Ravens game, and the Chicago and the Seahawks game here?
So the 3 losers of this games, Pittsburgh, Houston, and Chicago, combined scored for 15 points. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Houston's only points came by their defense with a safety.
Yeah, this was a bad showing. Casey and Baltimore did what they needed to do. They beat up on an inferior team. But Seattle is the big concern here, only scoring 6 points on a Chicago defense. So it wasn't must-watch TV. It was the highlight of all 3 of these games was the Beyonce halftime show. I watched all of it, and I was entertained, even though that is not my cup of tea as far as musical genres go. And all I have to say is whoever they have booked for the Super Bowl, the bar has been set pretty high.
I think it's Kendrick Lamar this year, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that was a Super Bowl style halftime show for a Christmas Day game.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, now moving along to games that are still in front of us here, guys. All right, this is you got to pay attention. We got 3 games on Saturday, 3 games. So it's not, you probably have someone going. So don't wait till Sunday to set your lineup or double check news, because we got players on Saturday. Starting off with the LA Chargers bolting over to Foxborough to take on those New England Patriots at 1 p.m. Followed by, on that same Saturday, the Denver Broncos will be bucking their way to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals in a very important game in terms of NFL playoffs. That game's at 4:30 p.m. The final game of Saturday slate has the Arizona Cardinals taking on NFC rival and division leader LA Rams at 8:10 p.m. Once again, we'll just stop here real quick. What do you have on these Saturday games? Chargers versus Patriots, Broncos versus Bengals, Cardinals versus Rams.
Well, first game is the not trap game, so I'm not even going to watch that game. I will watch it, but I'm not going to pay attention to it. The Chargers at New England, not even worried about it. The second game, Denver at Cincinnati. This is a big-time game. This is a game for both of these teams to kind of show up and handle their business, and I think this will be a really good matchup football-wise, back and forth, coaching and everything going on here. And then the Rams, I'm curious about this game because I want to see who these Rams are, because if they are in the playoffs, they could be the biggest disruptor in the playoffs, in my opinion.
I think they might be like how Tampa was last year. They kind of got in, you're like, they got in, and then they knocked out the Eagles and had a great game against whoever they played against. Was the Lions. They almost beat the Lions.
Yeah,
in that second round. So I think the Rams potentially could be a similar type of team in the playoffs.
Yeah, Sean McVay is a great coach. I'll use the word great. I won't even use good. He's a great coach.
So I don't want to spend the time to pull it up here, but these games are important for the Dolphins. They're going to get an early heads up on what they need to win out. But what's possible here, as the Chargers, are the Dolphins going to be rooting for New England? They are. They want the Chargers to lose, and I'm assuming they want the Bengals to beat the Broncos, because right now they're tied with the Bengals and they're behind the Broncos. They need a kind of a particular track here. They need certain teams to beat certain teams, but only in certain weeks. Mm-hmm. So this is a big time Saturday if you're a Dolphins fan, to keep your playoff hopes alive as a fan. All right, moving on to the Sunday game here. The Sunday night game has the Atlanta Falcons soaring into the nation's capital to take on the Washington Commanders. That game is at 8:20 p.m. Don't forget, the Falcons lead the division now due to tiebreakers ahead of the Bucs. So they're going to see what the Bucs do first again. And it was the other way around last time. But they're going to see what the Bucs do first, and they're going to see what they need to do to keep up. And the last game of the week, the Monday night game, has the Detroit Lions showing their pride in a matchup with the San Francisco 49ers, and that game is at 8:15 p.m. These are some interesting games here. Falcons have a lot to play for. So do the Commanders. And Detroit Lions have to try and hold off those the teams that are chasing them, like the Vikings, for example.
Oh, yeah. So definitely be watching the Monday night game, because this will be the fantasy playoff implication kind of finality of it all. But Detroit's going to take care of business, so it's not really going to be much of a matchup as far as NFL matchups go. But the Falcons and the Commanders, this is a good game, man. This is the Commanders coming off of a huge win, and the Falcons just kind of getting their rookie acclimated to big boy football. So this ought to be one of those games. This is going to be like this Denver Cincinnati game. This is kind of a must watch game to see some good football, some good coaching, and see what's going on here. All right. And it's Dan Quinn hosting his former team, which he left, not on the best terms, but he's a good guy, and Arthur Blank is a good owner, so I don't see any bad blood there. So no revenge game or anything like that.
Right. All right, guys, and we had 4 players in our managers' lineups in the championship game. We're just going to do the championship game players here. Before we even got to the weekend, we had Day took our job start off his day on Christmas Day with King Henry. coming down from the heavens to have a monster day to start off his scoring. And Crazy Fish with 3 players in his lineups. He had George Pickens starting off his week on Christmas, followed up with Zach Charbonnet and the streaming Seattle defense. I don't know how this guy does it. On Thursday night, coming through with a monster score. All right, now let's get into our waiver wire activity for week 17. We had 0 bids on the waiver wire this week for 0 NFL players, meaning we had 0 multiple bids out there for whatever, 0, 0, 0. All right. Crazy Fish, we know, has $0 left in his Fab account here, but I was surprised he didn't put in a waiver wire bids just to get a head start on timing, but he got up early Christmas morning and put in a lot of free agent pickups. And with our set it and forget, these are our two type of teams from our last week's 4th and Long, our set it and forget it, and our mover and shaker here, our set and forget it, let the other guy do what he had to do, and he's just going to roll with his studs. Do you have any thoughts here on our waiver wire? The fact that there were no bids made at all from any of our teams, even teams playing for 7th place. But Crazy Fish was very active on the free agent market.
No, I think it's one of those things where you were not going to, there's no reason to stash somebody just in case there's no handcuff need anymore. You've got your starting lineup that you're confident with, and you look at the waiver and you say, I'm going to pick them up, but I'm probably not going to start them, so why even bother?
I did notice Crazy Fish picked up as many Arizona Cardinals backup running backs he'd get on his roster in case James Conner can't go. But even those guys, if they were on the roster of they took our jobs, I don't think they'd even make the starting lineup. He'd find something else.
Exactly. So that's I think that's why the waiver was non-existent this week.
All right, guys, it is now time to see who's playing who in this week's matchups.
This week's matchup.
All right, guys, we're going to start off in our consolation bracket in the 9th place game. We have our number 9 seed, Nick's Waddle Away, up against the number 7 seed, Ben's Brilliant Team. Again, the winner of this game will finish the final standings in 9th, the loser in 10th. What do you have on this matchup between Waddle Away and Ben's Brilliant Team?
I think Waddle Away is going to waddle away with the victory here. Brock Purdy is the starting quarterback for Ben's Brilliant Team in San Francisco. I have lost all hope. They are going up against Detroit, and Detroit is real friendly, giving up points, but maybe this is the week that Detroit says enough is enough, and their defense steps up. A lot of the new guys on the defense have had a little bit of time now to play with each other. The only bright spot I see over our Ben's Brilliant Team is Puka Nacua. I think Puka might have a big game this week. And then on the other side, Minnesota's defense, and Jason Sanders, highest scoring Dolphin. Johnny Smith maybe comes alive here. Devontae Adams, though, we might have to check that status and make sure he's a viable option. Also with what's his name? Aaron Rodgers. So be careful there.
All right. I didn't look at their scores. I don't know if he had. He usually starts DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore does Ben's Brilliant Team. And I know the Bears didn't score any offensive points tonight other than a field goal. So I can't imagine they had good days, but that's probably putting them behind the 8 ball. Yeah.
Well, DeAndre Swift hit his 10 points projection. But DJ Moore was 3 short of his 12-point projection with 9 points.
Okay. So not as bad as the team was, considering how bad their offense was as a whole.
Exactly. So, but they were projected pretty low to start. So,
right. All right. Staying in the little boy bracket here, we have our 7th place game. Both these guys can finish their season in better positions than they ended the regular season. Our number 10 seed, Reggie's Illini, the hottest team in the league, not only in number of wins in a row, but points scored, up against Bernie's Team B. These two guys both scored over 134 points last week. Bernie's Team B was the 8th seed at the end of the regular season, so at worst, he'll be where he finished. Has a chance to improve a little bit here. If I'm not mistaken, this is a rematch from last year's 7th place game. You can let me know for sure. What do you have on this matchup between two end-of-the-year powerhouses, Lions versus Team B?
Oh, yeah. Two best teams that under the 6th position. Okay. This is a rematch from last year. I did eke out the win last year to end in 6th place, I believe. or seventh place. I'm sorry. But this is going to be close again. He's already started off with MVP candidate, Mr. Lamar Jackson. I have Anthony Richardson, who might not play. So I'm kind of worried about that. Hollywood Brown has already given me almost a dud, but it is what it is.
You stuck with Brown? You stuck with Hollywood Brown? I'm kind of surprised.
I did. It was a boomer bust play, but Jackson Smith and Jigba gave him a dud with 4.7. So those kind of balance each other out.
Good trade,
so yeah. I'm just chasing some Lamar Jackson points for now. I feel confident. I've got Indy defense going up against the Giants, so that's a comforting thing. Let me see. He's got any other big things going on over there. He really doesn't have a big thing. He does have Brock Bowers going up against New Orleans, so that could be a big matchup there.
So I got a question for you. You dropped Kirk Cousins. Geno Smith has already played. What are you looking at? How are you going to pivot? Are you going to go to Flacco, or are you looking for somewhere else if Richardson cannot go?
Flacco probably, if Richardson doesn't go. But let me take a quick little peek here and see who's available. I'm really not too worried about it. I could always pick up Michael Penix. He might have a big bounce back game. Bryce Young is still out there. I would play him over that guy. So there's a couple of guys here. So maybe Reggie will pull a crazy fish and or Lions will pull a crazy fish and try to add drop quarterbacks, but I'll see it coming.
Good. All right. Now it's time to move on to our big boy bracket. These guys started the playoffs with the hopes of potentially earning a championship, but unfortunately, these guys are playing in the third place game. And this is actually a rematch of last year's championship game. We have Jimerson's Red Sox Nation, our number 6 seed, up against Corey's Mac Daddy 2s, who finished the regular season as the 1 seed. So the loser of this game will finish in 4th. The winner will be in 3rd place. Either way is a downgrade from the way Corey's Mac Daddy 2's regular season ended, but either way will be an upgrade to Red Sox Nation's end of his regular season. So nonetheless, these guys are going to finish in the top 4 for our league. What do you have on this battle and a playoff rematch, although under different circumstances?
Yeah, so it's hard. It's hard sometimes because I know all these guys personally, and it's hard to say what I think about their teams and their starting lineups because clearly they're better than me. They're positioned better than me. They've got more wins than me. So I think they both set the perfect lineup. I'm going to lean towards Red Sox Nation because he's got Baker the Baby Maker Mayfield in his quarterback position out of default because Jalen Hurts is hurt. So I'm just going to lean towards Red Sox Nation. They both have excellent lineups. They both are going to put up 140, 150 points because they're that good. And we'll go from there.
All right, now we're moving on to our championship game. This is interesting here for a couple of reasons. We have our number 2 seed, Andrew's Crazy Fish, our mover and shaker, who's been streaming and plugging his team along all year. I don't know how he got this far. He's either a genius, lucky, or whatever. I don't know, but he's got there, and he's earned it, to be honest with you. He's worked the hardest to get here, in my opinion. And Alex, they took our jobs, who was the number 5 seed, but our point leader. He's been the point leader most of the season. Let's see. There's something else I want to say. Oh, either we're going to have Crazy Fish win, and he'll be our first 5-time champion, or we'll have Alex, they took our jobs, win, who will be his very first championship ever. So this is going to be monumental either way. What do you have on this particular matchup here?
All right. So how many fab dollars do we start off with?
100.
$100. Okay. Crazy Fish has 0 fab dollars and he has made 100 moves. They Took Our Jobs has 85 fab dollars and he has made 14 moves. If he would just make one more move, this would be pretty awesome. To be at 15 and make it an even 100 all the way around here. You're right. These are 2 totally opposite managers. They both have really good starting lineups, but like I said earlier, They Took Our Jobs just has this stoutness of Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry and Josh Allen. But Joe Burrow's on the other side, and he is just quietly being better than Josh Allen. Josh is just getting the wins as far as the teams go. So I'm gonna lean towards They Took Our Jobs, but this is anybody's battle here. This is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Joe Burrow, Chuba Hubbard. This is just a good team on the other side. But two juggernauts going up. Who do you pick? You just get out of the way and you watch them fight.
Yeah, right. Well, for Alex, he's been riding the same 5 big-time players most of the year. Yeah. He's actually been putting Thielen in his lineup lately since he's gotten away from he was kind of hit and or missing with his Green Bay wide receivers. They were boom bust, and he seemed to catch the wrong weeks with those guys for a little bit. That's why he got those couple losses towards the middle end of the season. But now he's gone with Thielen, but we thought Barkley was going to be hurt, but he ended up playing last week and playing awesome as he got banged up a couple weeks ago. But now we've got Connor who's a little banged up. Thielen has actually been an important part of his team these last 2 weeks. He's a little banged up. It's amazing that these guys have stayed healthy this long, and I'm not saying they should or shouldn't, but I'm like, can they make it through one more game? That's all they got to do, and I just don't know. I don't know if they will or not. I just don't know. So that's an interesting thing there. And Crazy Fish picked up a defense who got 16 or so points, and that is a huge boon when you have your special teamers get you towards 15 to 20 points. And Bates in the streaming defense has been getting him 25 points every week for the last 3 weeks, and that's how he's been surviving.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And if I could, I'm going to make one suggestion for each team.
Sure.
I would pull out Jacoby Myers, and I would put in you could put in either Jaden Reed or Romeo Doubs, honestly. I think they're both going to put up more points than Jacoby Myers. And then on the other side, I wouldn't have played George Pickens. He's already played George Pickens.
Right.
But the only other matchup is, maybe Chuba Hubbard isn't have as big of a game as he could have. And the only other person that I see on there is going to be Tyjae Spears that could compete with that, but that might be a toss up there as well. But I would not have played Chuba Hubbard. I would not have played Pickens. I probably would have played either Marvin Harrison or I guess Marvin Harrison over that. So.
Pickens was a receiver, or was Pickens a flex?
Pickens, he has him in as a receiver.
Yeah, because he has only like 3 or 4. He has the minimum amount of receivers on his team, I think. So I think he had to play someone there. It's not like you could put Spears in for Pickens. You have to put Spears in for somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
I would try to get Spears in there somehow, but last time he asked me who to start, I told him the biggest dud of the week. So don't listen to me.
Yeah, exactly. Chuba Hubbard's a great play, but he just might not be as effective this game as Spears would be against Tennessee.
All right, guys. It is now time to take a look at this week's Power Rankings.
By the power of Grayskull.
I'm living in it, no one man should have all that power.
Wingman Power Rankings.
Where is it? I pushed the button, didn't I? Nope. All right, guys. So looking at the updated power rankings here, once again, we're going to use just the projected points left just to see who has the best chance to win this last week of the season, as that's all that really matters now. The past is behind us. The future is in our grasp. All right, our lowest scoring projected team to go is King George. No worry, her season is over. She is not playing any games this week. Our second lowest team in terms of projected points, Red Sox Nation. That Jalen Hurts injury hurts. Although Baker Mayfield is one of the best backups you could have, if not the best. He has the 11th most projected points for the final week of the season. Ben's brilliant team, playing for 9th place, has the 10th best projection points going forward. The Fantastics up to 9, but his season is over. Nick's waddle away is in 8th in terms of projected points remaining in his power rankings. Team B, you're at number 7. Cubert's Rage, whose season is over, is at 6. Crazy Fish in the championship game is at the 5th highest projected points. Amazing Spidey, just on the wrong side of the bracket, is in 4th in terms of projected points. Mac Daddy 2s has the 3rd best projected points going in terms of power rankings for his 3rd place game. Lionize jumping up far onto the top of the list, moving up from 3rd last week to 2nd this week, just showing how well his team is in the latter part of the year. That's the 2nd best projection going forward. And they took our jobs. Our number 1 point scorer, our number one point projected. They Took Our Jobs is number one on top of the power rankings. So in terms of our championship game, we have number 1 versus number 5 in terms of projected points. All right, what do you think about these power rankings here? They Took Our Jobs for the second straight week is on top of our projected points power rankings.
Yeah, and that's deservedly so. Deservedly so. Great draft, great in-season adjustments, minimal as they might have been. That just shows that his draft was that stellar. Crazy Fish is not as long of a shot as that power ranking says. I think though he's got some firepower behind his team as well.
The thing when you're playing against They Took Our Jobs, you've got to survive 4 bullets with the 3 running backs and Josh Allen. Like he can, Crazy Fish can match up Burrow versus Allen if you say, but he's got to dodge that 40 burger. And if he even dodges that one, he's got to dodge the Barkley big game. He's already got a strong game from Derrick Henry. It's one you can survive, but it's still not a great start with 23.5 points. Exactly. So I don't think he dodged that one. I think he could survive that one, but he's got to dodge. Now he's got to dodge one more completely, if not 2.
Yeah. And without Jalen Hurts playing, who knows what's going to happen with Barkley?
Yeah, I mean, Barkley didn't get any points once Pickett came in. Their offense definitely sputtered.
Yep. But if they get inside the red zone, it could be a big Barkley game.
That's what I was saying. He's going to get a lot more chances inside that 5 than he would have otherwise, I think.
Exactly.
All right, guys, it is now time. Soak it in, guys. My favorite Friday morning segment, and it should be yours. This is our final Bernie, 4th and Long with Bernie for the 2024 season.
This measurement could determine the Giants'
It is
season.
time for 4th and Long
with Bernie.
All right, guys. First off, I want to say, Mike, good job last week. That was actually a subject matter that was on my long list of things to do, was to describe different types of managers. It wasn't going to be as detailed as what you did. It was just a generalization of fantasy football managers. But good job. Thank you for keeping the torch going there. All right. Welcome back to 4th and Long, where today we're diving into everybody's favorite football debate, the NFL MVP Award, or as I like to call it, the annual quarterback appreciation ceremony. Let's start with some history, shall we? Since 2000, quarterbacks have won MVP 18 times. The last non-quarterback to win it was Adrian Peterson in 2012. And he had to rush for 2,097 yards just to squeeze past Peyton Manning. Before that, you've got to go back to 2006 with LaDainian Tomlinson, LT. 2005 with Sean Alexander, and 2000 with Marshall Faulk. And defensive players? Lawrence Taylor was the last one in 1986. Which is so long ago that Josh Allen was -9 years old. And here we have Josh Allen leading the charge again. Don't get me wrong. 25 passing touchdowns, 11 rushing scores, and becoming the first player ever with multiple passing and rushing touchdowns in back-to-back games is impressive. He's even managed to keep rolling after losing Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. But meanwhile, Lamar Jackson's out here throwing 34 touchdowns against just 3 interceptions with a receiving corps that looks like it was picked from our fantasy football waiver wire. His top target is Mark Andrews, who's pushing 30, and Jackson's still making it work while adding 743 rushing yards because apparently that's just a thing quarterbacks do now. But here's where it gets ridiculous. Saquon Barkley is on pace to join the 2,000-yard rushing club, a feat only 8 players in NFL history achieved. Want to know how exclusive that club is? Barry Sanders is in it. Eric Dickerson is in it. And when Derrick Henry joined in 2020 with 2,027 yards, you know what he got? A pat on the back and a better luck next year, kid. Henry did something only 7 other humans had ever done, and they gave and they gave MVP to Aaron Rodgers because he discovered how to throw touchdowns again. The Eagles completely rebuilt their offense around Barkley, won 10 straight games, and are leading the league with 186 rushing yards per game. He dropped 255 yards in prime time against the Rams, and you know what everyone's talking about? Josh Allen's quarterback rating. Because apparently running through entire defensive lines is less impressive than throwing to wide open receivers. Then there's Jared Goff, MVP Jared Goff, who everyone thought was just a throw-in for the Matthew Stafford trade. Remember that? The Rams basically treated him like that free toy that comes with your Happy Meal. Now he's out here putting up 494 yards and 5 touchdowns in a loss, ranking 2nd in passing yards, 4th in touchdown passes, and 5th in completions. Ben Johnson's got him running the Lions offense like a well-oiled machine. He's thrown for almost 1,400 yards on play-action passes alone, which is 255 more than the next closest QB. But apparently that's not enough to get serious MVP buzz when you're the guy who was supposed to be the consolation prize in the trade. And don't even get me started on Patrick Mahomes, who has the Chiefs at 13-1 despite his top receiver, Hollywood Brown, being out with a shoulder injury, Rashee Rice going down in week 4, and Isaiah Pacheco missing 11 weeks. But sure, let's talk more about Allen's rushing touchdowns. Remember when Cooper Kupp had one of the greatest receiving seasons ever in 2021? Triple Crown winner, broke records, carried his team, got exactly 1 MVP vote. Or how about TJ Watt literally tying the all-time sack record in 2021? Both got the thanks for playing consolation prize, while Aaron Rodgers took home another trophy for his collection. The voters have made it clear. Unless you're a quarterback, your path to MVP requires either breaking every record in existence, solving world hunger, or discovering a new planet. And even then, they'll probably give it to whichever quarterback managed to figure out that you can throw the ball to the guys wearing the same colored jersey as you. All right, this has been a 4th and long where we tell it like it is. And where Joe Burrow's out here leading the league in completions, passing yards, and touchdowns, but still has about as much chance of winning MVP as I do being named the next Batman. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think, who you think should win the MVP this year. And if you say a quarterback, at least try to surprise me. Maybe throw Sam Darnold's name in there. He's actually having a career year in Minnesota. But that's a rant from Mike on another day.
All right, very good. I like it. Yeah, it's pretty much goes to a quarterback. They don't care what other stats are accumulated or how good they are for their team or how important. They give the the best offensive player they usually give to the running backs, and they give MVPs to the quarterbacks.
Exactly. Who do you think's going to get it? I personally think it'll be I think it'll be Josh Allen, but I want it to be, if it's going to be a quarterback, I want it to be Lamar. He's having a better year than his previous 2 years that he's won it, so I don't see how they can't give it to him again. But Saquon Barkley should get it, but he's not going to.
So I think Jackson has played awesome the last 3 weeks, and it's kind of like, what have you done for me lately? I think he's at least tied Allen, if not overtaken. But Allen has a game to play to Matt. Like, he's already got a game in the books ahead of Allen.
Yeah.
So I think Lamar, but the thing is, the problem is with Lamar Jackson, he keeps getting MVPs and then sputtering in the playoffs. Eventually, they're going to be like, well, that's not what we're playing for. You know what I mean? It's like unfair.
But it's a regular season award. It's not.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's like how like Nikola Jokic got like back-to-back MVPs when their teams got knocked out in the playoffs. The year they won the championship, he didn't get the MVP because we can't get given to a guy who doesn't do it in the playoffs. Right. And then he won the championship and he won the MVP the next year. It's like people have to justify the whole package, even though that's not what the award is.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, this award could go almost literally to everybody. Jared Goff could easily get the MVP award. Puka Nacua could get the MVP award. It's like who makes the team better, is really what the award is. Josh Allen does make his team better, but he, I don't know.
I would say all those quarterbacks have had similar years in the past. Doesn't mean it's not MVP worthy.
Right.
But if Saquon Barkley can get to that 2,100 yards, if not the actual record,
right?
I mean, that's a 1 in a 10-year accomplishment. You know what I mean? If not further,
yeah.
If he gets the whole record, that's a 1 in a 30-year accomplishment. So
exactly.
I think he should get it because of that. But like you said, they're going to find any way they can not to give it to another offensive player.
Exactly. So all right, folks, let us know what you think.
All right, guys, we have now finished up our Wingman Jam, but we're going to look back at last week's and see how Bernie and I performed against the viewers out there, as we had some new participants this past week in the Wingman Jam. So let's get right to it. Let's look at this last week's Wingman Jam results.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
Wingman Jam with Bernie the Bounty Hunter and Amazing Spidey. Boom shakalaka.
Just pick your team. Let's go.
Arizona Cardinals. Atlanta Falcons. This one's for the birds. Wait, birds aren't real? If you believe that, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. He won that one by the hair on his chinny, chin, chin. Anyone else in the mood for a ham sandwich? Bernie takes this one. Team B wins. All right, Bernie, we got back to another close match at this time. You took this one down. I'm not sure of our overall score since we switched. I'm going to say it's probably 3-2 in your favor, but I'm kind of half guessing there. So good job on your picking of the Atlanta Falcons. No thanks to Michael Penix. Bijan Robinson did all the heavy lifting, and Trey McBride let me down even worse than Penix did on your side there. But so you won that one between you and myself, but you weren't the best score this week, as we had some viewers who joined in on the Wingman Jam. We had Ken chime in with his Dolphins. He went with Tua Tagovailoa and Jonnu Smith. Should have picked Devon Achane, I guess. And they combined, Tua got 12.6, Jonnu got 9.2 for a total of 21.8. But our highest scoring Wingman Jam team this week came in from Lounge Fly, who went with the Lions. Jared Goff at 25.44 and Jahmyr Gibbs at 23.4, equaling 48.84 points for the Lions. So congratulations to you. This is just a little bragging rights right now. Next year, we're going to do a bigger contest here if you guys start joining us earlier in the season. But congratulations, and thank you guys for playing along. That's the biggest part. Once you get in there, you can get our scores and see how we're doing. So, Bernie, you took me down. Way to go. Loungefly, highest score of the week. Congratulations to you.
Good job.
What do you think about the fact you won another one from me, and we had some new players this time?
Well, at least it's almost like the start of the week.
Yeah.
No, this is good. This is fun because there isn't anything behind it besides, hey, I think these guys are better than your guys. It's a little bit of just a trash talking aspect as opposed to the starts of the week, which is serious.
Very serious. Very serious. All right, guys, it is now time to get into I feel like we're saying goodbye. We'll have a couple Sunday shows here, but I want to let you in on our final mailbag of the 2024 season.
You've got mail.
You've got mail.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
Mailbag! All right, this first one comes in from Anonymous. Oh, man, Anonymous. We know how much you like to keep track of all we're doing here. This one says, hey, Mike, Notice you're going back with the mustache. I got a nickname for you, Mr. Mustache Man. I'm going to start calling you Magnum PU because you stink. I'm like, all right, wow. Usually we get a lot of love on this, except from Anonymous, or at least this Anonymous. Good nickname, actually. I like it a lot. It sounds something I would come up with. So, Magnum PU is pretty good. I do stink. Don't you worry. Bernie's being very polite over here, not falling over here. But thanks for the mailbag entry here, Anonymous. It's our last time we're gonna tussle this time around. What do you think of Anonymous's assessment here of the bar stash?
Well, I like the stash. The stash and the soul patch go good together. Like if you just had one without the other, that'd be good. Now, are you going out for the police academy, or are you going to be like a super trooper or something? What's going on here?
Well, I'm trying to be automatically keep myself away, like 100 feet away from schools. So I figure if I do this, I don't have to have any paperwork. I can't pick up my kids. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed near here.
All right, good. I like the mustache and the soul patch better than the full beard.
Okay.
So it's just my opinion. I'm just in general. But Anonymous, he is tracking your IP address now. So easy on the comments, buddy. Easy on the comments.
And I will come after you as long as you're not in a school. I can't get you then. I won't be able to get you. All right. This one comes in from King George. Hey, Wingman. My team has been devastated this year with injuries. We've noticed it's been awful. But in all honesty, it's kind of been the most stress-free season I've had all year, as I've been pretty much eliminated from the playoffs since week 9 or so, and my Sundays have been carefree since then. What say you on the pros and cons of having such an awful season that you're able to free up some of your weekend time?
Oh, wow. Oh, well, if you feel that way about it, then next year, King George, you can just go ahead and send me your entry fee direct and then not have to do anything any Sunday. And then you're good to go. Now, this is I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Don't make excuses on why you're having a good stress-free time because you lost. Don't lose. Be upset that you lost for a moment and then be done with it, but still be upset. Like I want to keep playing. I like when you get knocked out of that elimination pool or that suicide pool, and then you're like, man, I want to keep picking. Okay, I'm out, but I'm going to keep picking. It's one of those things.
Well, in all fairness, she did set her lineup. She did make moves. It's just that the injuries were just too much to overcome.
Yeah, and I know King George, and she has a very easy way about her. So I'm happy for her.
All right. This one actually comes in from me, Bernie, direct from the source, and this one is addressed to you, Mr. Bernie. What we did the Wingman Jam most of the year. We changed our style with it a little bit. Mm-hmm. So what is your favorite mode of the Wingman Jam? The prop bets mixed in with the draft day round picks, or the suicide pool NFL pick'ems with 2 players from those teams?
My favorite would be the pick'ems. Would be the pick the player for the 2 teams. I think that's most like the original Wingman Jam, or the I'm not even going to be able to say NBA Jam anymore. Most like the NBA Jam game, where you get to be Scotty and Michael, and you get to play those best players of the team. I did like the prop bets though, so I think that maybe we should take some viewer advice or viewer suggestions and see if we can somehow come up with a new segment that they like just for prop bets. And have some fun with that.
If we get some more engagement, maybe we can have our commenters set what the not the lines, but set what the bets are that we make our prop bets on. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like over or under 2 touchdowns, stuff like that. Easy stuff, fun stuff.
All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you all for.
Wait. I did have one. I've got a question.
Oh yeah.
I've got a mailbag for our viewers out there. There was a viewer that posted in some start-sits questions for you.
Oh, yeah.
So who was that viewer again?
It came in from Lionized, who's in another league. I deleted it here. Or do I have it? I think, but he asked start-sit questions because he had an injury to a running back, so he had to play a backup running back, and then he asked the tight end.
Lionized, this is for you. How did it all play out? We all need to know. We're all sitting on our edge of our seat because this is the most engaging start-sit comment we've ever had on our show. So we want to know how it played out. Get in our comments or direct messages or however you would like to contact us. Send me a singing telegram, whatever. But let us know how it all worked out for you in the end. Thanks, bud.
So just to respond to that a little bit, even though I want to know too, I don't know how it played out, but I did rank the running backs that he had choice of: Tajay Spears, Tyrone Tracy, then Kendra Miller. And then I said, if you're going to go with the Raider, Amir Abdullah. So those three guys finished in that order, although Miller was way below Abdullah, for example. But so the player I suggested was the best one. Now, did he listen to it, or should he have? Could he have? Would he have? That's another question. But it worked out that way. Although I did ask between Laporta and Kelsey, and I said Kelsey, and Laporta did outscore Kelsey. So the way I looked at it, if he listened to me completely, he had a good score. If he ignored me completely, he had a good score. If he went half and half, he could have had a better score or a worse score, depending on which half he took.
All right. Yeah, let us know, bud. Let us know.
All right, guys. It is now time to get into our last, most likely our last. We'll see what we do here. But we have another edition of some sad puppies.
Wingman Fantasy Football. Sad puppies.
Mac Daddy 2s. Last year, you were so close to the championship, lost at the buzzer on the final game. That stupid Ty Chandler couldn't get one more catch, or you would have won last year. We thought the championship hangover was going to take you down, but no, you came back stronger than ever, taking in the number 1 seed. A great chance to get back to the finals. But you ran into our point leader. They took our jobs, ended your attempt to get a championship. Good season all the way around, though. A number 1 seed is nothing to scoff at. A regular season payout is really well done. So despite championship hopes being dashed, a fine season for you Mac Daddy 2s. Our other sad puppy here, Red Sox Nation. First off, thanks for the RSN Index. We appreciate all the work you put in. Very nice, very in-depth. You were our 3-time in a row champion. And I can't admit we were rooting for you to get a 4th in a row. Nothing personal, just the numbers. But you went into this one on the last day of the regular season, winning by 1.5 points on a catch from CeeDee Lamb with a minute left to go. And then you came in and won the first round of the playoffs. Seemed like you were destined for a 4-peat. But your next game was your worst game, unfortunately. Up against Crazy Fish's wily moves, ended your chance for a 4-peat. Another fine season, though. Came into the playoffs, had all of us shaking all year round, showed that you knew what you were doing. One of the best, if not the best. A fine season indeed, but your quest for your 5th championship is no more. All right, what do you have on these sad puppies here? Great season, obviously. They both got into the playoffs, were fine managers all year long.
Fine gentlemen. Good football teams. Good managers. Better than me. Sorry, not sorry that you're out. Better luck next year. Now you're just as good as the rest of us because you're not winning. And if you're not winning, you're losing.
You've got a little too big of a smile there, Bernie. I'm trying to hold it in. You're really.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Okay, all right. I'm not on your text chain because I'm trying to keep myself distance a little bit as the commissioner here, but it sounds like you got a lot going on in there.
No, not at all. I like both of these guys. Great job, guys. I'm not sad that you're out though because
it's a jealousy thing, guys. You guys are better than us, and we're haters.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
All right, guys. Listen, everyone out there, thank you for sticking along with us in this double jammed episode as we have our Week 16 rewind and Week 17 preview. With the Christmas holiday, we decided to take Christmas Eve off. I think that's just appropriate. So thank you guys so very much for watching. We are winding down on this season. We will have a Sunday morning quickie. We will have a 2-point conversation. And Bernie and I are in talks of maybe doing a Monday night live stream as the final scores come in for our championship, since Tuesday is New Year's Eve. So that's not in stone yet, but we're talking about it right now. So keep that in mind. We'll let you know if that live stream comes out on Monday. With that being said, guys, you can find all of our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Amazon Music and YouTube Music. You can also find our video feeds on wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube. When you head over there, guys, leave a comment. Let us know how we can improve this show going forward. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we thank you all for joining us all year long. Let's finish off on a high note. Good luck to our managers in the championship. They took our jobs in Crazy Fish. With that being said, guys, may your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty.
And may your defense score more points than the number of times I regretted starting a Thursday player in my flex position.
All right, Bernie, that's a good job here. I'm going to say it over again the last 3 shows here. Been a pleasure, my man. Thank you so much for all the help all the time. And we will.
the honor. Oh, here we go. There's the cut right there. Yep. The honor is mine.
For all you guys know,
thanks for having me.
This is a visual bit here. We're not in the same room. All right.
No.
All right, guys. We will see you next time.